From Notebook LM_BD, we're tackling a nightmare scenario. Your flagship phone uses a dazzling AMOLED or Dynamic AMOLED screen. It delivers exceptional contrast, true blacks, and smooth 120Hz refresh rates. But for countless users of devices from brands like Samsung and OnePlus, that brilliance is ruined by the permanent green line mystery.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something that's become a total nightmare for smartphone users everywhere, that dreaded green line of death.
You know what I'm talking about, right? That single vertical green line that just shows up out of nowhere. One minute your screen is perfect, the next, it's got this permanent scar, usually right after a software update, and it doesn't go away. It just stays.
And hey, if this has happened to you, you are so not alone. Social media, user forums, they are absolutely flooded with stories just like this one. It's a huge issue, and it's hitting a bunch of major brands. So let's get into it. What is going on here?
Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this crime, we first have to understand the victim. And we're talking about the absolutely stunning AMOLED display technology itself. Yeah, this isn't some bargain bin tech. This is the good stuff, the gold standard in high-end phones.
I know, the name sounds super technical, right? But the idea behind it is actually pretty simple and, well, brilliant. Think of it this way. Older LCD screens, they're like a single giant light bulb behind a colored sheet. But an AMOLED screen, that's like a whole city with millions of tiny individual light bulbs that can each turn on or off all by themselves.
So what does that mean for you? Well, the biggest deal is the contrast. To show black, an AMOLED screen just turns off the pixels completely. That's how you get those super deep, true blacks. It's not a dark gray, it's just nothing, off. And that saves a ton of battery power, which is why dark mode is such a big deal on these phones. It's also what allows them to be so thin and even flexible.
And of course, this tech doesn't stand still. The new versions, the Dynamic AMOLED 2X you see advertised, are just incredible. We're talking refresh rates that make scrolling feel like butter, and colors that are literally cinema grade. So the point I really want to drive home is this. This isn't old, faulty tech. This is the top-of-the-line, premium stuff failing. Which brings us to the big question. Why is this amazing, expensive technology failing in such a spectacular and, frankly, annoying way? Well, the investigation has narrowed it down to two main suspects. Is it the hardware, or is it the software?
Okay, in this corner, we've got Team Hardware. They're saying something physical is literally breaking inside the phone. A tiny connector, a faulty part, something like that. And in the other corner, you've got Team Software. They argue that a buggy update is messing with the screen's brain, telling it to do something wrong. And the timing of when that line appears, well, that's what makes this so tricky.
All right, to crack this case, we have to look at the evidence. What are people who are actually experiencing this saying? What are the patterns showing up all over the world? First off, let's be clear. This is not just one brand or one model having a bad day. We're seeing this across the board. And a huge clue keeps popping up in user reports. Heat. The line often shows up either right after a big software update, when your phone is working hard and getting warm, or just when the device gets really hot, especially in warmer climates.
So, users online have put on their detective hats, and they've zeroed in on what they think is the weak spot. Inside your phone, there's this tiny, super fragile ribbon cable that connects your beautiful screen to the main computer chip. The theory is that the glue protecting that connection can get weak over time, and when it does, it can let in microscopic bits of dust or moisture, and boom, connection broken. So how are the big companies handling this? Well, it's kind of all over the place. You've got some, like OnePlus, who've stepped up and said, yep, this is a problem, and are offering free screen replacements for life on some phones. That's pretty good. But then you have others who are a lot more cagey, dealing with it case by case. A lot of users are getting told, sorry, your phone has a tiny scratch on the corner, so you have to pay.
Okay, so after looking at all the evidence, the verdict is in. And you know what? It's not just one culprit. It's looking more like a conspiracy, a team-up between hardware and software. So let's break down what's really happening, and then, most importantly, talk about what you can do about it. So here's how the chain reaction probably goes down. First, you have the vulnerability, that weak, fragile little connector we talked about, just waiting for a bad day. Then comes a trigger. You start a big software update. Your phone's processor goes into overdrive, and that creates the accomplice, heat. All that heat puts stress on that already weak connector, and finally, snap. The connection breaks for good. And the crime scene? That permanent green line on your screen. All right, so how do you protect your phone from this? Let's talk prevention. First, maybe turn off automatic updates. Yeah, I know it's convenient, but let other people be the guinea pigs for a few weeks. Also, a big one. Never ever update your phone when it's charging or in a hot car. You're just asking for trouble. And that last tip? That is genius. Seriously, take 30 seconds to record a video of your screen working perfectly right before you hit update. It could be the one thing that saves you from a massive repair bill.
Okay, but what if it's already happened? What if you're looking at that green line right now? First thing, don't panic. The very first thing to try is just a simple restart. It's a long shot for sure, but you gotta try it. If that doesn't work, it's time to get on the phone with customer support. Immediately. Be polite, but be persistent, especially if your phone is in otherwise perfect condition.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? We all want our phones to be thinner, brighter, more powerful, with screens that can practically fold in half. But in that race for innovation, are we accidentally making them too fragile? These screens are absolute marvels of engineering, no doubt. But maybe, just maybe, their incredible complexity is also their greatest weakness. It's definitely something to think about. Thanks for digging into this with me.